Hey everybody, Elisa again with another Vera Bradley Bag of the Day. This video is a viewer request from a fellow Vera fan um, who wanted to take a look at the Iconic Small Vera Tote in comparison to the Glenna Satchel. So Linda, this is for you. I'm sorry it took a couple days. So I only have, right now anyway, one of each style. I am eyeballing another small, Iconic Small Vera Tote. We'll see if I get it. Even though I was just talking in a previous video about how I like the Iconic tote bag as a medium size, and the Iconic Small Vera Tote seems almost too small for me. Sometimes you just gotta have a pattern, or you just gotta have that trim, that coordinating trim. And I feel like that's sort of what's happening to me, so we'll see. But anyway, so I broke out my two bags and was going to load them up with my typical stuff, and then just talk a little bit about some just things that I notice about the different bags. So I'll just put them on the bed here just to give a general sense of the size, because I feel like they are kind of comparable in size if you look at them together. The style of them is very different, right? This is very sort of soft and blousy and sort of gathered in its design, you know. And this is more structured and square-ish. But overall, they look about the same size. Maybe flatten this out. So, I mean, they're really very similar size-wise, but very different feels. So to start, the Glenna Satchel, it's very blousy. It's got gathers here. You can sort of see them from the side. And it has these drawstring, these side pulls, so that you can sort of customize the look of it. I mean, you can, really cinch it up. Or you can, sort of completely make it more of a bucket. I feel like it's more of a bucket that way. Almost, when you don't cinch it, it looks more like the factory Glenna shoulder bag in a way, a little bit anyway. What I do find about this bag, I just want to mention right away before I forget, is the lining is very loose and blousy. I noticed that about this bag right away. I'm sure it has something to do with the fact that it's got a drawstring, and it needs to accommodate that adjustment, that possible adjustment of the width there. I would imagine that has something to do with it. But this, it just feels it is tacked down, at the base. The base is not removable. Neither of these have removable bases. And I have not washed this. I haven't washed this either, but I've washed a couple of my Iconic Veras, so the larger version of this, and it went through the washing machine fine. So I would imagine same thing with this. I wouldn't hesitate to put this in the washing machine. I'm not sure about this. I probably would take a chance just because this isn't my favorite bag. That blousiness to this lining, where this is the only bag that I've experienced this with to such an extreme degree, where I feel like the lining is swimming around my stuff, and it bugs me, and it sounds like a diaper. So for me, that's going to keep me probably from ever getting another one of these. Now, I do have the Glenna Totes, the larger version of this, and I love those for travel. So there, the loose lining doesn't bother me because I'm not using it in the same way. I'm using it for clothing primarily. So I'm not going in and out of it in the same way you go in and out of a shoulder bag or handbag. But if that doesn't bother you, then you're good to go. But I just mentioned that's what's keeping me from that's one thing that's keeping me from another one of these bags. The other thing is the pleather strips on the straps, because I find, I've said this before when I talk about the Glenna Tote, that it makes the straps slipperier and they don't stay on my shoulder as easily as well, especially the outer strap. And so I'm always sort of, manipulating them so that the inner strap is overlapping the outer strap and it keeps it more secure. But that's a real problem for me with this bag. But they do accommodate both of them accommodate my all my regular stuff that I would carry around every day. The lining on this also loose, like most linings are now. It's not like back in the day when the wall, the interior was a quilted wall as well. It's just those days are gone right now. I mean, unless you do, some of the factory outlet styles have that, but not with the cotton. But anyway, it just doesn't feel as blousy in here. It doesn't feel like the fabric is pulling away from the walls of the bag as much. So it doesn't bother me on this. And just to get a quick idea of the basic measurements. Strap drop on the Glenna Satchel is 11. I know I just measured this in my other video, but I don't remember. 12 strap drop. I will put them both on so people can see where they hit. Maybe just a quick height and width thing. Well, if you flatten it out, it's about 15 from, side to side, 15 inches. About 10 from top to bottom. And the base is sort of this smaller oval shape. The opening, about 13 to 14 inches, depending on what you're measuring from. Like the zipper takes up a little, shortens it a little bit, makes it closer to 13. So we compare that. Again, 15, same thing from side to side. 11 and a half top to bottom, 11, more like 11. And the opening, about 12 to 13. Oh, I'm shedding. So, again, very, very similar in size. So the interior lining here is the top zipper, again, soft zipper closure on the top. And then I think it's six slip pockets in there, just 3 on each wall of the bag. And the center slip pocket seems to be just a little bit wider than the ones, surrounding it. And they're an okay depth. I would imagine let's see, this is a good thing to use. I would say they're about 7 inches deep, so that's a good depth. The middle one is about 5 inches wide, because I'm using this is 5 inches, so and I can slip it in that way. But I can't, the others are not that wide. Maybe about 3.5, 4 inches wide on these smaller side slip pockets. And it has the exterior zipper pocket, on top of the slip pocket out there. And again, that's that metal zipper. So I never use this really. I will use the slip pocket, but I won't use that metal zipper. I just, as soon as I see a metal zipper, if I don't have to access that area sort of just becomes invisible to me. This bag doesn't have any metal zippers, so that's nice. Again, that soft top zip, plastic top zipper. On this one wall of the bag is 3 slip pockets, and on the other wall is a good size zipper pocket. It's a very good size zipper pocket in there. Oh, and you can see the grommet, because down in there is like a charger pocket. See it in there. And so that grommet feeds out into this exterior slip pocket section there. So both sides have that exterior slip pocket. I do use those, and they're nice. You know, they go from the width of the pleats, so they have good width to them, those pockets. Now one of these, yeah, this side, the front, because I'm saying the front because of the pleather label. The front has this hidden vertical zipper pocket. It's a good size, goes, you know, all the way to here. Again, that lining in there feels very blousy to me. I probably wouldn't use that too much. I didn't even realize it was there for, I mean, it took me a while to even realize it was there. I mean, I had this bag for maybe a year before I realized that pocket was there. And it's on the Glenna totes too. Okay, so let me load it up with some stuff and get an idea for how it looks. This is my GPS pouch. That's my typical stuff. My charger cord pouch. My iPad mini, my iPod, which I'm just slipping in there. It doesn't fit. I mean, it fits in there widthwise, and I could leave it there, but I can't zip it up. So it's not quite a deep enough pocket to zip up my iPad mini, which is 8 inches top to bottom. And my Lighten Up all-in-one crossbody, which I'm using as a wallet. So let me zip up get that out of the way. You can sort of see it all lying in there. And normally I would throw my phone. I'm going to throw my phone in there and my car keys, you know. But so still accommodate, you know, still there's space still on top. Not a whole lot, but, you know, I mean, I can. You know, I can crunch it down, so there's still some space up top. So the thing I do like about this is the shoulder, the strap drop length. I like a bag that sits up here. And so I do like that about this bag. I mean, I wanted this bag in this particular pattern. It's just, I didn't mention it's Wildflower Paisley. I looked high and low for this bag because it was sold out for a while on the website. But it wasn't coming back in stock. Eventually it did, but it took a while. And so I was running around like a crazy woman to all my Hallmark stores. I finally found one. So, you know, while it's not my favorite bag, I'll never get rid of it because I did want it in this particular pattern very badly. I think this pattern looks very nice in this style. Very pretty. It's very girly. I'm not usually so pink, it is girlier than I might normally be, but I just liked it. Again, this is what I'm talking about. Just slips right off. No, not a fan. And I also just don't like the aesthetics of this stripe and just running up the side of the bag, covering the fabric of the pattern. Not for me. So, to compare, and I will eventually switch out the contents, but just to get a sense for how they look, you know. You can see this style drops a little bit lower on my body. It's hitting lower on my body. And it probably is really the same, but this, you know, just doesn't have a square, this doesn't have a square of a look. This has a more structured, square look. Obviously, it's Lavender Meadow. Everyone's probably aware this is Lavender Meadow. So that's how they sort of compare. Now I can switch out the contents just so that, you know, you can see this one sort of with weight in it. What I do like about this, even though it feels a little small, is that it gives you that, with certain patterns, you get that opportunity to have the contrasting trim, the coordinating trim, which I just think is such a nice feature, and so nice that they're trying to bring it back, at least in some of the styles, because that really, that's really what defined this brand for me anyway. That's really what set this brand apart, made it a little bit different. So, and in this trim is very nice here because you get the bees, so you get more critters. Anytime you get more critters, I'm happy. So for that reason, I do continue to consider this bag, even though it does feel sometimes a little small for me. Not always. I mean, sometimes it's the right size, but I do like to load it up, though, because when it looks like it has more body to it, then I feel better. So, like I've said, exterior, those are the exterior. Went over the slip pockets. That lining is great. And it has, I knew there was something I was forgetting. That's why I was trying to jog my memory and go over it all again. It has this hidden slip pocket up top. So that's, not in the inside of the bag. I love that feature. That's kind of neat. There it is. I mean, I'm sure people are already aware of most of these features. Like Linda, I'm sure you're aware of all these features, and you probably just want to compare the look and the size. But I just want to mention it for anyone else who might be watching. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly put my stuff in there. Same stuff. Charger cords. GPS, which I stubbornly refuse to switch out to a Vera product. My wallet. iPad mini. Oh, iPod. Phone. Sometimes I try to remember to take tissues or a pen and a post-it notepad, but, it's always a crapshoot whether I'm going to remember that. Ooh, Duke, be careful. So, you see, when it fills out, I think it looks much better. Let me get the other bag just to pretend there's something in here. The Glenna tends to keep its body a little bit if I don't crush it down with my arm. But I'm really, this it looks 10 times better when it's got some stuff in it, filling it out, giving it some width here. I don't have, the straps will slip for me. I don't know whether it's something about my anatomy and the way my shoulders go, but I do, overlap this way, and that tends to help keep them in place more. But it's not, I can tell right, even just standing here, if this wanted to slip. But even empty, it wants to slip. So for me, that's a real problem with this bag. I mean, I do, from the front, I do tend to like a bag that sits higher, but I think this looks good. Like I said, especially when it's full, it really makes just all the difference for me. And like I said, I do love that you get this. You can even, carry it just from your hand. Sorry, my dog is there, so it's hard to get back far enough. Just to give you an idea. So the strap drop is good for that. Like for me, at my height, it's not going to hit the ground. Sometimes it'll skim the ground if it's too big of a bag. This doesn't do that. I'm 5'4", about 130. Oops. So that was a quick comparison. Oh. And put them together one last time. And I will say, I'm not in the shot. I will say that people, I'm always surprised because I think that in general the Vera Bradley bags are very striking. The patterns are unusual. And so I'm always sort of thinking, well, I'm sure people will comment on this particular pattern, and it's rare that someone will comment on a pattern. And so far, it had only been that the 2 bags of mine had gotten comments from people. One was the wolf gray, that velvet all-in-one crossbody that has dragonfly embroidery on it. That I get compliments on when I pull that out of my bag, because I use that as a wallet. And the other one was Playful Penguins Blue, from the factory outlet store. That would get compliments. People seem to like that pattern. It's very cute. But Lavender Meadow gets me compliments. Every time I've gone to the factory outlet store carrying either this bag or the Iconic Large on the go, I get compliments on the bags. People just think it's so pretty. This is a pretty pattern. Really, really reads nicely, and it gets reaction. So, it's very pleasing when that happens, right? It sort of reinforces your decision making. So for me, anyway. So I felt like, I was glad I got this with the trim and everything. It was worth it. Made it worthwhile to me. Oh yes, reinforce. Yes, it is pretty. That's right. I forgot. It is pretty. Anyway, so I hope that's helpful for anyone who might have wanted to just get a look at those 2 bags to see how they compare size-wise, because they are very similar. They fit my stuff very similarly. I don't know if I showed the interior here. Very similar, easy to pack up, and again, still a little bit of room up top, just like with the Glenna Satchel. Anyway, hope that was helpful, and I'll see you next time on Vera Bradley Bag of the Day.